You are listening to the Screen to Screen Selling Talk Show hosted by Doug DeVitri, your source to increasing sales, productivity, and the customer experience. In each show, we will sit down with world-class thought leaders to discuss latest trends, innovative concepts, and ideas to keep you ahead of the curve using the latest technology.
Welcome back to the show. Very special guest this week, Chris Smith. In the real estate industry, nobody does marketing and technology better. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we got to talk with a lot of great things to talk about what you're doing, Chris. You've launched a successful software company and media company, helping real estate agents generate more leads and get more business. You're all over the map when it comes to speaking about technology. Tell us, I guess, from the ground up, what are you doing to effectively create so much buzz around the brand for this new company that you've created?
Sure. Thanks so much. Yeah, Curaytor's really taken off. We're still less than 3 years old, and I have a couple co-founders. I think that was one of the big secret sauces was, I love sales and marketing, and if I could wake up and do this every day, I'm in. But somebody has to take care of the people that you sell to, and somebody has to build the software. So, that's one of my secret sauces would just be having equal partners and not feeling like I have to, do it all. Maybe Chris Smith Inc. can become so large, but Curaytor with now 10, 12 employees, 3 co-founders, over 400 customers, we're really doing well. So I would say that what the screen-to-screen world brings is if you're great at what you do already, if you're great belly to belly, if you're great on stage, if you're great, at a listing appointment in somebody's living room, you're going to be great online if you'll just take it as seriously as you've taken how you became great offline. And so I think that probably would be the secret sauce for me, was just understanding that your greatness, the ideas that you're sharing that work, when somebody laughs at a joke at dinner, when somebody writes down a note while you're speaking on stage, those same ideas translate usually pretty well to the internet. And so I've just spent a lot of time putting a ton of content online for free. Yeah. And now I'm starting to get the harvest.
Yeah, that's great. And so creating awareness is one thing, conversion is another. What have you done successfully in order to convert? Because, you said 400 clients, but these are, premium clients that are investing significant money. How do you make that transition from the awareness to the conversion side?
Sure. I mean, we're at 5 million in annual revenue, to kind of just, put a number on it. So yeah, it's 400 people, but we are a premium brand. So I would say that what happens is you have to understand first and foremost that you can't monetize your entire audience. So like all the people on Facebook that I went to college with and went to high school with, they're not really that interested in like buying Curaytor, right? And even with the general population, whatever you sell, typically everybody's not your customer. You really want to kind of find who your customer is. So what we found were, if we basically gave away 100% of our information for free, 3 to 5% of our audience would come over and say, what do you sell? How can I hire you? And so then we built a product around that. I mean, the bottom line is that if you're putting out great information, if you're a thought leader whose thoughts are actually out there, it creates an inbound effect. People start coming to you saying, how can I hire you? How can I work with you? What is it that, how can you do for me what you're doing for yourself? So the key here, Doug, is in the conversion code, my book coming out, it's about being purposeful versus being passive. I think that's probably the number one thing that I've done is I love Facebook, I love Twitter, I love technology, but I love making money and I love business. And so thankfully, these really cool tools that I just happen to kind of use either way are helping me grow my business. I'm not looking at them as, these kind of Fisher Price tools. I'm looking at them as the, hammer and nails of 2015 and beyond.
Yeah, no, and it's interesting because I think, let's say the traditional model says, I have a list of 500 people who I'm just going to target 500 people. And then you pick up the phone and you're just calling 500 people on the phone over and over again. And then, hopefully at some point you build that relationship. What you've done is you've kind of gone maybe towards the masses, but been very purposeful with the message and really got who you wanted without having to pick up the phone individually and create the awareness that way.
There's something in sales I never forgot, which is called reducing it to the ridiculous. And so if you have a list of 500 emails, 1,000 emails, or phone numbers, you certainly could call through. And what I ask salespeople is, how many appointments or deals would you probably get if you did that? And usually it's like 5. So a realtor will come to us and say, how many leads can you get us? And I'll say, what if we just got you 4 appointments a month? They're like, I'm in, right? So that's reducing it to the ridiculous for people. So I think what I've just kind of understood is that, an email that goes out to 15,000 people or an email that goes out to 500 people, that is really just going to help me identify who wants that call. Yeah. So I use kind of big data or email marketing or SMS or, user tracking. Like, so if somebody went to our website, they looked at our testimonials page 5 times, they opened up our last 6 emails to attend a group webinar, like, you're a bad boss if you don't tell your salesperson to call them. Just using technology to identify who to call. That's really what the conversion code's about. And I know screen-to-screen selling is the same concept. Like, it's still people, right? Even though there's a camera and a mic and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, the things that, cause people to buy, they do translate to the web. But trust is one of those things. So that's where the content and sort of the help first mentality comes.
Yeah, and speaking about trust, what I hear over and over from your customers, because we kind of swim in the same circles here. What they say is, we want to do business with Curaytor because we know, and it has that reputation of delivering that quality service. They don't know specifically everything there is to know about the system, but they know that they want to do business with you. Tell us a little bit more about how you built a trust in a tribe that just continues to, excel with what you offer.
Yeah, well, one of the ways was definitely screen to screen. I mean, I started doing webinars. I did over 500 one-on-one webinars. So what would happen is if somebody bought software from me, they had a 30-day period where they could cancel. And I didn't want that to happen because I wouldn't get paid. And so I would do a one-on-one. I'd go to webinar, go to meeting because it's just one-to-one. And so I'd go through and walk them through the setup and take the link. All right, now you got the link. Go on Facebook, do this, write this, grab it in your email, do this. Yeah. And by doing that, so then I was just like, well, God, that's going to ruin my life if I do, 500 of these. So what if I just did one for 500 people? And that was sort of where I flipped it. And so I did a show back in the day called The Q, which was on a blog called Tech Savvy Agent I helped start. Which was just kind of the weekly wrap up on what's next in tech and social. Yeah. And then my co-founder of Curaytor and I, we launched the brand with a show called The Water Cooler, which has over 5 million minutes watched on YouTube, which is ridiculous. We have our latest Facebook marketing show with 50,000 views. And so the way I've been able to build trust pre-sale is really by getting on camera, Doug. I mean, when people read your stuff, like I always say, no one ever asked me to take a picture when I just wrote my blog. Once I got on camera, once I did a video podcast, once I started a YouTube show, I can get on stage in almost any city in the country and say, can I stay the night if I miss my flight? And people will let me. So I don't think that would have happened if I was just writing. I do think that whether it's a podcast through audio or video, even better, it builds trust. It's the best trust builder on the web is to just remove all, barriers, right? This is just me. Right now, I got my daughter's Elsa doll over here. And I think that realness, I'm not trying to go online and pretend to be something that I'm not. I'm going online and being who I am. And that's a big challenge for people.
You would think it would be the opposite.
I know. It really feels weird to even say it, right? It's like, and you see it happen whenever somebody says, okay, let's go live, it's like a totally different vibe than pre-call. So I think that is where you have to practice. That's where you have to read books like Screen to Screen Selling, books like The Conversion Code. You have to be willing to grab a colleague sitting next to you right now, go in the office and do a webinar pitch and see how it goes and take notes and get critical feedback. So if you're not going to sharpen your online axe, you're not going to cut down any online trees. That's what Curaytor does. We help great companies look great online. That's all we do. And most people are just too busy to do both.
Well, it takes time. It takes deliberate action to set up the equipment, to make the mistakes. The first shows that we did for screen-to-screen selling, the lighting was terrible. There's no backdrop. There was no nothing. Now we've just started to put this together, and I think
two quick bad stories, just real quick. Like my first big sales pitch to a group, I finally figured out, okay, I got 100 people, not one, and I did a 25-minute pitch, the best pitch of my life. I was muted the whole time. I didn't because I'm like, I'm not going to look at the little thing to see what they say. I'm just going to focus. And I got like 18 minutes in, and I just finally looked, and it was like, you're muted. No one heard one word of it. This episode of the water cooler was like kind of when Google Hangouts just started. And we had like 1,500 people watching live on a Google Hangout that crashed, and it wouldn't come back on. And we were like 4 minutes in. So we ended up like creating a GoToWebinar, mass emailing the link really quickly. We probably got about 700 of the 1,500 on, and that would have been a great time to quit. I mean, almost everybody would have quit right then, Doug.
Yeah, right.
So, but, we got back on the horse, and we kept going, and Google's technology got better. And again, 5 million minutes watched later, people will let us sleep on their couch. They're buying thousands of the book. They're signing up for thousands of dollars a month in software and consulting. So I think sometimes, you do have to trip in order to run. And that's another thing, is just go back to your IRL life. Go back to your interview that you had that one time where you just went in and fumbled your answers. Like you had to do that to nail the next one. Go back to college when you failed the course. The next semester you got it right. So the internet is no different, but you can't just like try stuff once and then write it off.
Yeah, no, we talk about all these things we can do. To kind of close here, what would you recommend to not do when embracing some of this new technology?
I would definitely recommend not trying to do everything. Like one of the chapters in the first book I co-authored called Peoplework was purpose before technology. So as an example, if I read screen-to-screen selling or the conversion code or something like inbound marketing or, one of these great books or blogs, or I watch a webinar, right, and I get really pumped to go do something, the first thing I would do is not try to do everything. What we always tell our clients is sort of, let's at least get our focus on appointments, which we call our purpose. So the purpose of everything Curaytor does for their customers, the purpose of what I do for Curaytor, is to create appointments for our sales team. And it sounds simple, but when you look at it through that lens and then you go, should I use QR codes? Right? They're not going to make the cut. So, so look, we do all this great content. You already mentioned it. But then the purpose of the technology investments, the purpose of the blog, the purpose of the show, the purpose of the webinars, the purpose of the books, the purpose is simply to drive appointments for our team, like at a high level. And it does. So if I ever get a little too far off into right field, Doug, and it's not like actually creating appointments for our team, Jimmy's going to call me and be like, Chris, man, what are you doing? Like you're speaking about, some medical issue, and like we don't sell medical software, so the bottom line is that no matter what webinar platform, microphone, laptop, phone, video, YouTube, Blab, right, like whatever you decide to use, I just think that you have to have a clear purpose, and typically it should just enable the purpose of your business. Like, why do you exist each day? I love sales. I love marketing. And all these gadgets allow me to do that at a larger scale. That's it. And by doing that, the register's ringing. So the last thing I'll say is what we call G squared, because all this stuff's tough, Doug. There's a lot of stuff, analytics and email and CRM. So G squared is two things. It's your gut and it's your growth. Do you feel good about what you're doing online? And is your business growing? And if the answer is yes and yes, you don't need to look at cost per lead, cost per click, cost per impression, cost per this and that. Do you feel good in your gut about the work you're doing? And is your business growing? And if it's yes and yes, keep doing that more.
Well, there's a gut feeling that I knew that, Chris, you had to be on the show today. Fist bump across the screen.
There we go. Got it.
Look forward to seeing you in San Diego. You're the best. Thanks again for being part of the show.
You are listening to the Screen to Screen Selling Talk Show hosted by Doug DeVitri. your source to increasing sales, productivity, and the customer experience. In each show, we will sit down with world-class thought leaders to discuss latest trends, innovative concepts, and ideas to keep you ahead of the curve using the latest technology.
Are you ready for more meetings in less time with less expense? Screen-to-screen selling has answers. Screen-to-screen selling is the fastest way to increase sales, productivity, and the customer experience. Screen-to-screen selling is a mindset before it becomes a skill set. Let's look at your beliefs.
Or even like join.me.
Receive access to upcoming episodes of the Screen-to-Screen Selling Talk Show, special announcements, and insider resources. Devitri.co/screen-to-screen. Order Screen-to-Screen Selling from 800-CEO READ, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, Books A Million, and McGraw-Hill Education.